Okay, hello and welcome to the Housing Partnership meeting of September 8th, 2025. This meeting is remote over Zoom. If anybody wants to call in, they can call in by phone at 301-715-8592. And this meeting can also be found on the Civic Engage calendar on the City of Northampton website. The City of Northampton does not discriminate based on disability and is committed to hosting accessible meetings. To request a reasonable accommodation to attend any city meeting, please contact the ADA coordinator at adacoordinator@northamptonma.gov or call 413-587-1288. And so I'd like to provide a notice that this meeting is being recorded. And with that, I am going to do a roll call. Bev Bates, Richard Abuza,
Here.
Hannah Schaefer,
Here.
Gordon Shaw,
Present.
Ben Wood, Spencer Gazy Bates, Gwenda Bod, here. And so the meeting is, it looks like we have a quorum and the meeting is open for public comment. It does not appear that we have any public comment, and I would like to acknowledge at 5:33, I see Ben Wood coming in. Hi, Ben. And so we just completed the roll call, and so you are here. Thank you. No problem. It doesn't appear that we have any public comments. And so next we will move to approve the minutes from July 7th and August 4th.
Gordon tells me that I sent the agendas, not the minutes, so
Yes,
if people did not have time to review them, it doesn't make sense to approve them.
okay, so let's, do we need to do a roll call to postpone it to the October meeting? Or do we just agree?
I don't think so.
I think we can just put it over to the next meeting.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
don't think it needs
thanks.
an action. A vote
Okay.
formal.
Okay. And so next on our agenda is a discussion about Habitat for Humanity, and we have Megan McDonough here. And so welcome, Megan.
Hi, thanks for having me here. And I've got a cold, so I apologize for my voice in advance. But I wanted to update the partnership on our activity in the city and ask for your support for a CPA application that we're putting in. So we are still working with the planning department and the city's council to get the Cook Avenue Moose Lodge property transferred to us. It's been a slow process just because of title insurance requirements and because of there's a paper street there and it got a little complicated. So hopefully the lawyers will work through the necessary easements to be able to transfer that to us soon. But that did put a bit of a delay on us starting that project, which we had hoped to start earlier this year.
Okay.
And because of that, we decided to look for other building lot possibilities, smaller project that we could start. And we found a building lot for sale on West Hampton Road in Northampton, and we purchased it from a private seller this summer so that we could just get another project in the books. It's just a small infill lot. It was a grandfathered lot, so it's a little smaller than the other neighboring lots. But we are gonna build we're calling it the West Hampton Road Cottage because it's gonna be a 1-bedroom wheelchair adaptable home on that road. We've started marketing for selecting the homeowner, and I would appreciate any help in getting the word out. We tend to get more applications for our larger 3-bedroom homes, but it is important to do some smaller homes in the mix because single people and couples don't get have a very low probability of getting picked in the lotteries for the multi-bedroom houses. So by doing some smaller houses, it gives a chance for people who want to live in the city and maybe need those accessibility features to be able to take that step to home ownership. And we have just got our building permit last week. And once we get the trench permit from the DPW, we're hoping to try and squeeze it in and get started this fall, which is ambitious for us to close in with volunteers a house before winter, but we're going to try. So hopefully we'll get that trench permit and be able to start construction soon. So we also are putting in an application to the CPA and would love it if the housing partnership would provide a letter of support to that. And that's just for this 1-bedroom house. And the reason, in addition to the desire to have accessible units available to different family sizes, is because it's a smaller lot and it's septic. The septic designer thought that a 1-bedroom design was the safest way to meet the regulations.
Okay, makes sense. Sounds great. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody on the housing partnership would agree that it would be a good idea to write a letter of support to the CPC. Does anybody have any questions for Megan?
Megan, how much is the request going to be?
Well, so we put in the preliminary, like just eligibility letter, and now we're working on the full application, which is due in a few weeks. And we're still taking a second pass through the budget, but maybe $75,000. So,
Okay.
you know, one of the contributing sources to the budget.
Yep.
Great.
And what's the overall, you may still be working on the number, but what is the overall budget or cost to build a home? Do you have a sense of what that's going to be?
Probably a little over 300,000. We had the added cost of the land for this because we did buy the lot. It was less expensive than a lot of other building lots in Northampton because it is a small grandfathered lot as opposed to a larger parcel with more options.
And West Hampton Road's a pretty long road. It's Route 66, right?
It is, and it's
Yeah. Can you-
actually just around the corner from where we finished a house this summer on Woodland Drive. So if you know, Woodland Drive is a loop off of West Hampton Road.
Yeah.
And this parcel is across the street, but in between those two entrances to Woodland Drive. Very close to where Habitat built some condos 20 years ago.
So is it before, if you're heading west, is it before Florence Road or after Florence Road?
All right, I'd have to pull up a map
That's
at this point,
a
but
sort of a main
we
intersection.
have cut down the trees on the lot. So if
Okay.
you're driving down the road and you see this recently cleared lot, that's a good indicator that and it's 822 West Hampton Road is the address that got assigned.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, I'm curious how much the lot costs, not that it's that critical to this thing. And then
Yeah.
I'd make a motion of support. What
It-
did the
it-
lot cost?
It was listed at $79,000 and we bought it for about 75, 76. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much just under the asking price.
Yeah, which is why cost of housing is so high. I think it's really admirable, A, that you're doing it, and B, that you've figured out that there's a niche that also needs some attention. And, you know, we have nothing but praise for your work. So I would like to make a motion that the Housing Partnership fully supports the Habitat's request for funds for the CPC for this important project to address both accessibility and smaller household size.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right. So it looks like Richard made the initial motion, Gordon the second. And so I'll do a roll call. Hannah Schaefer,
Yes.
Ben Wood,
Yes.
Gordon Shaw,
Yes.
Debuza,
Yes.
Wanda Bod. Yes. That motion is approved for to write a letter to the CPC and a letter of support to the CPC. Great.
Thank you. And the information on how to apply is up on our website, pvhabitat.org. And the application deadline is October 21st. And we've got 3 information sessions between now and then. And the first one is this Saturday at the Lilly Library.
Okay. I will definitely tell people about it and spread the word.
Just as a reminder, when people are selected, they're selected before the house is constructed, right? And then
Yeah,
there's
in
they
this
have to
case,
provide a
might
commitment. Yeah,
we hope to start construction slightly before the final selection, but they'll still be engaged. It'll be soon after, so they'll still be able to be involved in the construction project and put in sweat equity.
exactly. And I guess you put it in. I mean, since this might be targeted to one of the an adult who might be wheelchair bound, their engagement might be of a different sort than actual hammer and nail, or is that the expectation?
So what we do is if someone has a disability, we look at the goals of sweat equity, which are to understand how their house is built, to contribute to the project, and to connect with the volunteers. And we think about different ways to achieve those objectives. So sometimes that'll mean other things like online education about green building, or other ways that they thank you notes to volunteers, or helping out at events or online or other things. And then we did have, one grandma in a walker who showed up at the construction site, but we might modify the hours because she couldn't do it very often, so we will look at their particular circumstances and come up with a plan that makes sense. Sometimes it's more friends and family supporting them in sweat equity or different things like that.
Good to know. Thanks.
And there is, we do select our homeowners by lottery, but it's of all eligible applicants. And so there's a minimum income and a maximum income, and they have to meet some credit standards because they're taking on the risk and responsibility of home ownership. So it's not a free, some subsidized rental can be a better choice, lower risk for someone, but sometimes people want to have those own 4 walls of their own, and they're at that place where they're not making enough to go out in the market and buy it on their own. But if they have that small but steady income, they can become a homeowner.
Great.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Megan.
your work.
Thank you. Feel better.
Thank you.
Good work. Okay. So I will go to the next topic, which is the Developers Forum. That there's a new date for that. It is September 24th at 5 o'clock. I don't remember if it's just by Zoom. I know that it's in person in the city offices. It's going to be held in the hearing room because there's a city services meeting that's happening at the same time on that day. Do you have anything more to add to that, Keith?
Yes, it is in person. I can double check on the Zoom part of that. But confirmed speakers, Jessica Allen from Valley CDC, Alan Tierney from Coon Riddle Architects, and then Jeff Spiritios from Spiritios Developers. They're the ones developing 79 King Street. So this is what I have, but I will double check on the Zoom.
Okay, and what's happening at 79 King Street?
I believe that's the old Goggins real estate. Let me check for you. Yeah, that's the Goggins real estate property. It's there's a proposal for 70 units for older adults. But I don't know where they're at with that.
Okay,
And this is different than the proposal, the project that's going up on the old registry law, which is just maybe not even
Yeah, that's
100 feet
33.
away.
Yeah.
They're adjacent to each other.
Yeah.
Be pretty close.
Right.
okay.
So it's three possibly new big buildings in that whole section of King Street from the corner up.
Wow.
Where in the process is this one, Keith?
I do not know. I mean, I heard more about it a year ago. But Carolyn, my boss, she's more involved with the permitting and stuff like that. So until I see another public meeting, I'm kind of I stay out of the loop, you know. So
Okay.
Can I ask, do we know what the content of the developers forum will be? And if these are three speakers, but who is the audience? Are there other developers being invited? Do we know who's attending? And finally, is there a role for any of us in this,
yeah, I mean, I think
other than as attendees?
yeah, I mean, I think definitely if you have questions, you know, now ahead of time, whether you can make it or not, you can send them up. But definitely attend, ask questions. I'm sure other developers were invited, whether or not they're confirmed as speakers, like as part of the panel. I don't know who's coming. But you know, anyone in the city who's interested in housing is the intended audience. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys definitely are invited, and we want you to be there. And you know, I think when we had this last time, things have changed in the world, so things are gonna be different, you know. And I'm sure, you know, Valley and well, I guess all of them have projects in the works, so they're gonna have more an idea of the ground truth at the moment, you know.
Well, I guess what I'm asking, what is the actual goal? Is this meant to be a dialogue between the city and developers, or is it a conversation amongst developers?
Yeah, I
Is
think it's a dialogue between developers in the city.
to
There'll be I believe Carolyn might kind of moderate
yes,
it.
that's
But
good to know. Yeah, so it should be front and center in this. And is it to get the city to spur on these potential developers and talk about ways in which we can increase the housing stock overall? Or is it going to be a sub focus on affordable housing?
that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think the goal was always to increase housing. But the end goal of this meeting, I don't know if there's like a point that we want, okay, we've achieved that. It's gonna happen. I don't know if that's possible, but
Okay.
Well, I didn't get did we get an answer? Is it in person or will there be a virtual option? I didn't
it's
recall.
definitely in person. I have to check on the
Okay.
Zoom option.
Okay, but it's 5 so that might be doable for me. Sometimes middle of the day is hard for me to get up from Springfield.
Right, okay. So I guess I would be interested in knowing, in finding out if we could have Zoom access for this. And we can check with Carolyn, I guess, right?
I have just sent the message.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if there is a formal agenda to the program, it would be nice to see that in advance. If that comes along at some
Yeah, I
point.
think
It's
it's
not that, I mean, 24th is not that long from now.
right. Well, it's hosted by Community Resources. So it will have to be, I mean, it's a city meeting, so there has to be an agenda at least
Okay.
48 hours in advance.
Okay. That's right. Yeah. Forgot about that piece of it.
So if you have, if I don't, I'll do my best to get back to you, but if I
Mhm.
can't, go on the city webpage, calendar, the very bottom, listed date, community resources hosted, it'll be there.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions about this? No. Okay. Um, is there any other business not otherwise anticipated?
Were we going to talk at all about from the previous meeting, the sort of resources and the mini projects?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm glad you're here because I did send out like some research that I had done on just, I don't know if you saw it or not, but
Mhm.
I didn't know if we would like present that all at once or if you had more to add to that or anything like that. And then if we have like completed some of these little things that we had talked about, we can put it on the agenda for October. Um, I was a little nervous. I was wanting to get out the one that I had done just because it involves like weatherization and heating and stuff like that, but we could wait till October. We can wait. Do you have stuff to present, Hannah?
It's less stuff to present and more sort of a check-in about where to go next with what I found. I I've collated a document of just like a bunch of resources locally from housing to utility assistance, and then started to go broad into like local food assistance and like health and human services things. And I wanted to stop because I wanted to first check in and see like if this is going to be something that people can pick up, like a printout that's, maybe just a front and a back, maybe it's a pamphlet. Um, I wanted to check in kind of what the housing partnership thought about going broad versus going deep, like broad being this list of a lot of websites and phone numbers and addresses, deep being maybe more focused on housing and um, utility support, things that would be more like housing partnership focused, and then having longer maybe descriptions of things like, is this a place where you can drop in or do you need an appointment? I found in my research that this is a really well-resourced area, but sometimes it's unclear to me, like what all of these organizations do. So, yeah, so that I wanted to get the housing partnerships thought before I went deeper with this research about what people think would be the most useful.
Okay. So when you say broad, in other words, you're saying like we just list the resources and there's a lot of them and we don't really get into it per se. We just list what they do, the organizations do or whatever, and it would
Yeah,
just that. And then if it was to go deeper, then it would be what? Um,
so deeper. So I mean, right now I have a few pages and has, like it's broken down by category. For example, housing and rental assistance starts with Wayfinders. It has just a brief thing like Wayfinders offers emergency and rental assistance, housing subsidies, support for families. It has the address, the phone number, and the website. And then most things have that level, and so I consider that broad. Deep would be like, is this a place to go for emergency assistance? Or does this place accept walk-ins? Is an appointment required? Is this a place for vouchers? Are there also food services? Maybe like a little bit of a longer checklist. And I think that then I would remove things from this list, like I'm just scrolling down and seeing, like I have clinical and support options on this list, Tapestry Health. I would probably end up removing those and focusing more on utilities and housing and like a real breakdown of what each organization does. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess like in terms of like, I mean, everyone is unique in terms of how they would access these services or what they would want to know. But I would say, a lot of the stuff that revolves around, housing costs and things like that, and rental resources and things like that would be most appropriate for the partnership. So we could probably go deeper with that and just sort of, the other stuff like tapestry that you mentioned and things like that might um, not that they're not relevant or any less important or anything like that, but probably wouldn't fall into the partnership. I don't know if anybody else has any opinions about that.
I, as you said, there's a lot of resources out there, and there are a lot of tools already out there that helps people find the resources. So I don't want to have to recreate just for Northampton what's already been done. So I think what you're really focused on is how people access it, and not so much and rely on other platforms that already have the content, and focus on how to ensure that it reaches people, because the default for everything these days is let's put it on the internet, and that's not always accessible to a homeless
Right.
person or somebody. So it's really about creating addressing it from the point of view of how can we better disseminate this information in a timely way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
You also had some other ideas. I'm just recalling you presented 3 project ideas, and this was one of 3. I'm not remembering what the others were and how we left off on those.
Yeah, there was also like a winterization supply kits, which I think Gwen, you had done some research on. And then I think that Ben was gonna look into the maybe some micro grants for recycling, things like helping tenants recycle mattresses or air conditioners, which that's the one I'm the most excited about. And then there was one more that I think I didn't like that one that much. So yeah.
Well, they're all great. I mean, we don't want to lose sight of those. And like you
Yeah.
said, they're kind of low hanging, not really low hanging. You shouldn't use that metaphor, but
Right.
they're things that can be accomplished and give us a sense of that we're actually doing something.
Yeah. Um, so just to be clear on the next steps for me. So it sounds like um, focus it down to things that would be the most relevant to the work of the housing partnership. So I'm thinking like housing, maybe rental assistance, legal assistance for tenants, and maybe crossing into some like utilities assistance. I can, and then focusing on just kind of like paper accessibility of this, maybe these are lists that exist elsewhere, but this would be something that somebody could grab and, maybe they find it at the, wherever they are. Maybe we could partner with some local organizations and get these printouts around. So I can work on that. What would be the next step for like people taking a look at this and then getting comments before? Is that something that could happen before the next meeting, or is that something that has to happen with everybody together in a meeting?
I think people
Um,
can definitely review them individually. Um, but if um, we just can't do like a Word doc where we're editing it all together.
Okay.
right.
Does that include, Keith, like a Google Doc where people are leaving comments? Like that's not
Yeah,
allowed?
I think
Okay.
if they're funneling just to you, but if you're it's a collaborative type of thing, then you can't do it.
So,
Okay.
so direct emails to Hannah is okay.
So our quorum is 4. Is that what that is? Our quorum?
Correct, yeah.
So, we can communicate one-on-one with Hannah. I think it's between 2 people. So, yeah,
I think sharing information is not prohibited in preparation for a meeting. I think it's what what the goal of open meeting laws is really targeting making decisions without public input and doing it in public view. So we're not making decisions.
okay,
That's what's going to get you in trouble if you
right,
do something like.
okay, right, okay,
Great. So I will clean up the list that I made a little bit and share a version that's more focused on housing, and then I can share that out probably in the next few days, and then people can get comments to me before the next meeting.
okay. And I don't know if everybody got the one that I did on the fuel assistance stuff and all of that.
Mhm.
If anybody wants to give feedback on that, they can. I can also work on it a little more, if need be.
And it totally fell off my radar, Hannah, the micro grants for
Oh,
recycling
that's
and
okay. Sorry to
the
put you
sort
on
of
the spot there.
the illegal dumping conversation that we had. So I just put it on a sticky note, which hopefully
Great.
means I'll get to it.
Okay. Is there any other business not otherwise anticipated? Okay, and so with that, I would say we take
I'll
a,
move to adjourn.
all right, thank you.
Thanks. See
All
you
those
all
in
next.
favor, say aye. Aye,
Okay.
All
Bye bye.
right. Bye, everybody.
bye-bye.